Hey YouTube, a few episodes ago I built a sabiki rod out of PVC pipe. That didn't work out real well. It was too soft and flexible, the balance wasn't right, and I just didn't like using it. Although it did the job probably adequately. Anyway, I've decided to buy a sabiki rod so I can get a nice stiff rod, better feel to it, better balance, and this is what I got. Let's have a look at it. Rather than buy a new rod, I salvaged the reel off my DIY attempt at a sabiki rod to reuse that on this one, since I won't be using that for any sabiki fishing. Now, being made out of fiberglass, it certainly has a nicer feel to it than PVC pipe. It's not only lighter, but it's stiffer as well. I just need to clean this elastic off the rod seat from the last time I used it. Being able to attach the reel by screwing it into a proper holder is a bit of an added bonus as well. Because the line was so thin, I thought I'd put it through before I joined the rod together. My thinking there was that it only had a few inches to go in the bottom half of the rod to get it through, and I thought I could do that without putting anything on the end of the line. I'd just be able to shove that through. Unfortunately, it didn't work out quite that way, and the line balled up inside the rod and I couldn't get it to go through. So I needed to go and find one of my wife's sewing needles to help me put a little bit of weight on the end of the line, then I'll let gravity do the rest. I picked the biggest needle that was in the wife's set of needles. It'll have enough weight to help drag the line through, I'm sure. Threading the fishing line through the eye of it though is another matter. A few years ago I used to have no trouble threading things through the eye of a needle, but these days they make the eye of the needle a lot smaller than they used to, and it's much harder to do. Has nothing to do with my eyesight, of course. They went through the bottom section of the rod real easy, and I'm going to leave it in two pieces to drop it through the top section, and once I got it through then I can join the rod together. The needle's not overly heavy. A small sinker would have provided a bit more weight for this part of the job. I needed the thin needle to get through where the line goes into the middle of the rod, but now that I'm going down the barrel of the rod, a small sinker would do the job quite nicely and be heavier. However, as soon as the needle's there, I am going to use that. Well, there you go. Because I was too lazy to change the needle, gravity hasn't got as much mass to work with, and I have to feed the line in behind it because it's not heavy enough to drag it through. On the other hand, it's probably just as quick to feed the line in as it is to put a heavier sinker on the line. Well, that's got the line through everything. I've got the rod back in one piece, and now I best put the wife's needles back the way I found them so I won't get in trouble. The sabiki rig itself is too long to fit inside the rod properly. It was on the do-it-yourself rod that I made as well, but the PVC do-it-yourself rod had a larger hole in to let the line in and out, and it had a swivel on that which was small enough to come out of the hole and leave the rest of the sabiki rig inside the centre of the rod. However, this hole isn't big enough to allow that to happen. I don't have a swivel small enough, so I'm going to tie the sabiki rig directly to the line with a double uni knot. Well, that knot's a proper mess, and this time I'm going to blame the dark background of the table for not being able to tie that knot. Now, I'm not being entirely facetious here. My eyesight's not what it used to be, but that dark background's not doing me any favours either. So I'm going to cut that knot off, go and get a bit of white paper to put behind it, and tie it again. I've got the sabiki rig on the line now and the rod's all together, so I'll just show you a couple of little tricks. The line from the sabiki rig has come out the back end of the rod here a little bit, and that's going to create a problem for us, and I'll try and demonstrate why. I've also got a tag end here that I didn't cut off properly. I'll attend to that later. First, I just want to show you that I've got a Mustad fast patch here on the end so that I can change sinkers easily. This sinker is probably big enough for most of the stuff I'll do, but sometimes you just might want a bigger sinker, and it's nice and quick to change with these fast patches on. Now, fast forwarded all that rigmarole because it was pretty boring, but what it was about was that a hook went down past the front piece of the rod, and as you can see, the front piece has quite a small hole at the end of it. The hook goes down past that, it'll fit through it, but doesn't want to come back out again. So we need to do something to shorten the Sabiki rig so that it doesn't get a hook down past the end of the front section of the rod, and here's how we do it. This is pretty much the same thing you do when you have a normal rod, not a Sabiki rod, but a normal rod with guides, in order to stop your Sabiki rig hooking up on everything. I find this easier to do on the boat when the rod's sitting in a rod holder, but I'll see if I can do it here while hanging on to the rod. You start at the end nearest the sinker and hook the first two hooks together. By starting at the end nearest the sinker and hooking the first two hooks together, we let the weight of the sinker hold the hooks together for us so they won't come apart. And what we're looking for is this piece of slack line in between. That's going to shorten the rig up for us. And just hook each pair of hooks together, creating that slack line in between, and we'll shorten the Sabiki rig up enough to fit internally inside the front half of the rod. I'll just show you. I'll hold one end of the Sabiki rig up near the the rod, and if I back away from the camera a little bit, hopefully you can see that the bottom end is short of the end of the front half of the rod, so that it will be fully contained. You won't be able to tell in the video, but the front piece of the rod comes down to about there. I've never found a Sabiki rig particularly easy to pack up, and this is no different. Having it in a Sabiki rod keeps it nice and safe when you're moving it around, but it only makes it marginally easier to pack up. Heaven forbid having it on a conventional rod with guides. Now, I always pick a sinker that's too big to go into the end of the rod, and that lets me sit it up there on the end. Sits there nice and loosely in the thing, doesn't jam, but it keeps enough tension on the line to make sure the Sabiki hooks don't unhook internally, and all I've got to do is pop it out, unhook the hooks, and I'm ready to go. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you need to buy a Sabiki rod as well, there's a link in the description below where you can have a look at one, and there's also a link for a nice cheap reel, which in my opinion is all you need on a Sabiki rod. If you want to see more of my videos, you can go to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to be notified when I release a new video, you can click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the notify bell as well. If you got something out of this video, please click the like button. Until next time, good fishing.